So instead of building one big, massive workflow, you're building smaller, segmented routines that as you fill in those dates of things that you need, then it will start the routine for those particular dates. And now it becomes a very customized to that person. So whenever you're setting up a routine is nothing more than a predefined template for an activity, right? So, and if you wanted to create an activity off of this one, it basically says whenever the event date is, it's 0 days after that. So technically, it's on the event date that the event is being held. Why I'm choosing this one, it doesn't really matter. But basically, any activity that's based off of this, it'll actually create the calendar activity in the calendar for that. Any actions that you want on that activity, some automated actions, can be set up so that whenever that activity comes up on your calendar, you go to complete it, it would then show you, hey, here's some things I want you to do whenever you go to complete this activity. Those are actions. And the action types, you can click on add action. And most of the time, probably 90% of the time, your action is going to be send message. Okay. And with that send message, you can choose a template that you want to send. You can come in, if you've selected a template, you can use an objective to change that template a little bit, or you can go in and you can just create an objective without a template and it'll create a message on the fly. I don't necessarily advise that because who knows what it's going to come up with, but some people will do that. Now, sending a message is great, and sending a message to the different people, it's just a matter of setting that up. For the other 10% of the things that you might use this for is there's a drop down here. So instead of sending message, maybe you're going to you want to put that person on a call list. This has already been there. We've covered this a little bit, but you can add a contact to a call list through an action. You can run a webhook to another outside site and pass it information. One of the cool things about the webhook ability is you basically just give it what's the URL for that webhook, and then you can add multiple parameters that you're passing to that webhook that also includes merge fields for your contacts. This is great for if you want to interface with some kind of company that maybe does postcards and maybe we don't have the integration for it, but you can send them a webhook, and in that webhook, it may have the person's name and email or phone number information, and you're sending it out to another website for them to do something with that. You can set up multiple parameters, pass multiple things to that webhook, and it do that action for you. Very powerful and very cool if you need some kind of automation done on a different site. The other thing that we've got is updating of fields. Now, updating of fields means if you are running something and maybe you now need to change the status of a contact record, or maybe you need to change the milestone of a record, you can go through and choose those different fields. You just click on add field. You choose which field that you want to change. Maybe I want to add a tag to a field. I can then come in here, select a tag, and maybe I want to add a birthday tag, to that record. You can add tags, remove tags. There's lots of things that you can do to make changes. Date fields. So this is ideal for if there's maybe they go to a webinar. This is something that we didn't really talk about, Jose, but it could be possible for you guys since you're doing live events. If you run a certain event and they attend that event, you start them on a workflow of some sort. The workflow could have an action that all it does is it adds the attended date for you automatically. And then whenever that attended date gets filled in, you can specify it from the current date, or you can specify it from some other date, a calculation from some other date if you want to, but most of the time it's going to probably be from the current date. But you can say, 3 days after something, I want to assign this date. I want to assign this date to that date that's calculated. This is basically a calculation date that's going to get placed into whatever date field that you've selected. This is so powerful because now using this, if you've got a routine on that date, it would then start that routine for you automatically as well. So lots and lots of capabilities for updating fields, starting routines, doing stuff from that process. A few months ago, probably 4 or 5 months ago, we added the Slack option so that if you guys are using Slack in your business, you can send messages to those members of your Slack channel. You can go and either choose it as a channel or a particular user. You pick which ones that you want, whether it's actually choose right here, which recipient. So you can select the different recipients either by a particular channel so that multiple people get it, or if there's certain people that you want to send it to, you can do that. So if I wanted to, whenever this happens, whatever it is, if I wanted to send a Slack message to Cody, I can do that, and then I can type in what's the message. Well, before you could just go in there and say, we have a new customer. I could certainly do that, and it would send a message to Cody that says we have a new customer. Great. Well, who is that customer? We couldn't ever determine that from this message. But now what you can do is we've added the ability to include merge fields in there so that if I want to include that merge field name of the person, say first name, I'm going to say category or contact first name, so that whenever this message gets sent to Cody now, it will say we have a new customer, John, or John Smith. If you want to add, you can add multiple merge fields. So it'll go through and it'll do that process of creating that Slack notification using those additional merge fields. Okay. Now we've had the ability to do that, but the other thing that we now have is we have the ability to do advanced messaging where you actually give it an objective and it'll write that message for you using AI and insert those merge fields for you as well. So you notify that we have a new customer and say generate. It would then create, hey team, excited to share, we have a new customer onboarding, blah, 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 and send it out and the whole bit. So, you can do that, and then that becomes the simple message. It's no longer simple, but it definitely makes it easy to type it in and get that created for you. Now, what's new is we've now added that same type of processing for your send notifications. So the little bell that we have in SAM, you can now send notifications to that bell and do the exact same thing. However, you can give it a title because our notifications has a title field, and you can include merge fields there. You can also give the actual message body and include merge fields there as well. You can do the same thing as far as creating a we have a new customer and build that out. And it goes through and it'll create the same type of content and stuff for you in there. And it does include, in this case, it's showing you that it includes the merge field. So it builds all that out for you, and then you can just give it, whatever title that you want. So that ability to now do notifications as an action and make it automatically notify you is great as well. We have some notifications that's built in based off of automatic merging, but you can now create additional merge notifications for other routines that do other things. That's been added. That's one thing. The other thing that we've gone through and we've added is the ability to stop routines. So one of the things, so we've got a new action here called stop routine. Whenever you start a routine, say you start a new lead routine, and maybe it has 20 or 30 different touch points through time that you've got. Well, at some point, hopefully, they become a client. And what you can do is set up a date field that says, hey, we have a new client. Here's their new client date. Have a routine set up on that. And whenever that date gets filled in, it runs the routine. And the routine does nothing more. Maybe it may do several things, but maybe it just needs to stop your other routines. So maybe we come down here and we want to stop our new lead routine, whatever. So the lead, first time home buyer lead, whatever. I've got a bunch of junk in here, but you can choose which routine or routines, because you could actually, maybe you've got multiple routines for leads and you don't necessarily know which one they're part of. You want to end all of them that are there, because now they're a customer. They need to be on the new customer routine, but we're going to stop the new lead routine. So you go through, you can pick whichever ones you want to stop. And whenever this runs, then it'll find the routine that is connected to that client, and it will stop that routine or routines from that contact for you automatically. So again, trying to prevent you from having to do extra work. Normally, if you didn't have this, if they became a customer or client in your cases, you'd have to go into the routines tab of that contact, find that routine, click on stop, and stop it manually. Now you can do it automatically. So very powerful. Any questions on any of those actions? Yes, Rebecca.
So let's say we want to stop this routine for some contacts and not for others. And should we create another routine? Like we would need to kind of tag those some contacts we want to stop the routine.
Yeah, it's all based off of those important dates. So if you think about it as, what happened to cause this routine to start? In this case, you got a new client. So you probably have a new client date field. When did they become a new client? You fill that date field in, and maybe that's a checklist. So that's another thing that we really haven't gotten into, but a routine activity can have checklists. And one of those checklists might be verify a certain field in the database, of which it could be a date field. You then fill in that date field from the checklist. It fills in into the contact record. And then because you filled it in the contact record, that routine starts on that date field that you've set up. So it all ties together and becomes very cohesive in your processes. We're building your processes for you, so that each time you go through a client, you do the same processes from point A to point Z. In between point A and point Z, there may be some differences between your clients in what you do. But whenever that happens, it's all you have to do is choose which dates you want to fill in or not fill in, and it would change the routine process. That's kind of the whole idea of the workflow secret is workflows. If you think about, and we covered this a week or so ago, workflow is a big, long process of everything that you might do. But there's a lot of cases where those routines, the smaller parts of things that you do within that bigger workflow don't have to happen or don't need to happen for some reason. If it's coming in with a cash deal, you don't need to go through all the loan process routine stuff, right? Well, if you don't need to go through the loan process routine stuff, you just don't fill in the loan date information. And that loan date would kick off that routine. So instead of building one big, massive workflow, you're building smaller, segmented routines that as you fill in those dates of things that you need, then it will start the routine for those particular dates. And now it becomes a very customized to that person. So if you've got certain people that do need this to remove the routine, you can assign a date and just fill in that date for those people that need it or need to get it removed. And if for other people, if they don't need it, then don't fill in the date. Does that make sense?
Okay, so I can go straight to that contact and just remove the routine too.
You can do that as well. Absolutely.
Contact.
Yes. You can just go to that routine. Now, the other thing that you can do to make it a little bit easier is on the routines themselves. There's a certain routine that you've started on a bunch of people and you want to remove them from that. Instead of going to each person individually and stopping their routine, you can come to this icon right here and you can see who all is on that routine and then stop them from within there.
So if it's a routine based on contacts, you will see the contact list. And if it's a one that's based on properties, you will see the list of properties. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Just to make sure. So you're saying that routines are based on dates.
Yes.
Dates. Okay. Non-tags, not milestone, not nothing of any other feature.
So correct. What you can do is on a date field that gets filled in, you can set up a condition that says, if this field gets filled in, if this date field gets filled in, I only want to do it if it has a certain tag. So you can go in and do things based off of a tag by setting up conditions, which is kind of a whole nother class in and of itself. But what that does then is checks that condition before it gets filled in. You may have a case where you've got multiple routines set up on a single date, but based off of the condition, you'll start one over the other. You might have a new lead that comes in and you want a new lead date. Of course, now that we have different dates, you're really better off using a different date. But if you are using the same date for two different routines, you can come in and say, well, I want to start this routine for this date on this condition, where if you go to a different routine with that same date, you can set up with a different condition. And even though they're sharing the same date, it's only going to use the one that's appropriate based off of whatever condition it is. That condition could be certain values of the fields, the tags, the categories, the milestones, stuff like that.
Yeah, right now we're using the Eventbrite when someone registers, but we're only using the email. But pretty soon we can use it where we can send a text message as soon as someone registers, starting that particular date. And then we can send out also a reminder, send a text message or email where it's after the register on the middle at the date. It's starting the important day of registration.
Right.
And then if they don't show up, it start creating another routine. Hey, did they show up or not? Because we usually what we do, we go over and say this person did not show up, so we can just click on it and start a different routine.
Exactly.
Start the other one and start a new one.
Exactly. Okay. So something I wasn't paying attention to, and I should have, I'll bring it to your attention. There is a status option on this, and and I was just looking at the ones that were initiated, that basically they've been started, but they haven't completed. So if I come in here and I say all, then it would show me all of them. So there was probably some of those that were coming up with something, but I had it filtered out because I wasn't selecting all. In this case, you know, these have all been started and they've completed in some form or fashion. And if you've stopped a routine, maybe you've started it, got halfway through and stopped it, the items that you did complete will still be in the routine list to let you know that you did do it up to that point, but you still have the ability to delete those if you really want to. But if I go in here and choose all, then you can see the list. And if I wanted to, you know, stop this routine, I can click on stop. Technically, it's already completed, so it doesn't really make sense to stop it, other than I could delete it if I wanted to physically delete it. But from this list, I can then, you know, click on the contact name and it take me to that contact. And then I could still go to its routine list and then see all the routines that are in there. So in this case, there is a birthday reminder, initial reminder routine. If I was to go to it, you can see that it is initiated, so it would have come up on it. I just didn't go to that particular routine to see its list. So whenever you then come back here, then you know you're back to your full list again. So you can go to other people, stop other people, do your list deletion, your routine deletion from here will probably be quicker than going to each person individually and stopping them. Because in this case, it's showing there's 26 people that are on this particular routine, but all of them have completed it.
From that view, you can stop on a single
Yes.
contact, right?
Yeah, so I can go here and just stop
Oh,
that one person.
huh, okay.
Makes it a lot easier.